Good morning.
Noah.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm Danny.
Hi, Danny. Nice to meet you.
Megan.
Yeah.
Welcome. Where are you guys from?
Hawaii.
You're from Hawaii too?
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Lots of more Hawaiian.
Oh, what's up, guys? Hi.
Noah and Megan.
Hi. Yeah. Oh, nice. How's it? Oh, I can say aloha to you guys. That's what I'm talking about. Right on. It's right there? Yeah. All right.
Are you just here visiting?
Honeymoon.
Honeymoon.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. This weather is kind of gnarly, though.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
So
it's-
different from home right now.
Getting out of the Auckland province and then about an hour and a bit travelling through a province called the Waikato, and which is a very big farming area. And then we'll be at Hobbiton for about 3 hours, and then we jump back in the bus and drive for another hour and a quarter across the country to get to Waitomo, and then we stop for about 45 minutes for lunch, and then the caves are about 10-15 minutes away from where we stop for lunch, and then we'll be at the caves for about an hour and a half, and then we jump back in the bus, and then it's about 2.5 to 3 hours back into the city. So we normally get back round about 6 o'clock. So that's sort of just dependent on how much traffic's on the highway coming back in. But being a Saturday, probably won't be too bad. And then on the way, once we can see things, I point out things of interest, give you a bit of a spiel on movies, Hobbiton, Glowworms, etc. And if you have any questions about anything, please ask. And if you get too hot or cold or need a comfort stop or something, just let me know. So yeah, welcome to Auckland and our little trip to Hobbiton and Waitomo. So they're both pretty cool venues. One almost completely man-made, which is Hobbiton of course, and the other completely natural. So it's got a nice juxtaposition of places to see, and as I say, they're both very cool in their own right. And these lights take forever. So this is Queen Street we're on at the moment. It actually runs all the way up. So I think it's about 3-4 kilometres long. We've got the swanky shops down the bottom, and then it gets a bit kind of rougher as you get to the top. Metro system. It's taken 8 years so far. So it's due to open next year, so
That'll be nice.
yeah, it'll be cool. I think it's cost $1.4 billion per kilometre.
Wow.
So it's a lot.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does.
Hopefully they're just put to good use.
Yeah. Hopefully it gets to the airport. Just up on the right here, up on the hill is one called Mount Eden, or Mawanga Fo is the Maori name for it. So Mawanga is the Maori word for mountain, and Fo is a type of tree that grows on the mountain, so it's the mountain Fo tree, which is a bit like balsa wood, balsa tree. Maori used to use it for flotation devices and things. And then as we come around the corner here, there's another volcano directly in front of us called Mount Hobson. It's actually named after the first British governor of New Zealand. I'm not quite sure what the Maori name for that one is. But, and then out to the left, in the middle of the harbour, is Auckland's youngest volcano, which is called Rangitoto. And that's the only one that humans have seen erupt. So that erupted about 600 years ago, so it was only the local Maori who saw that blow its top. And Rangitoto actually means burning sky in Maori, but it's actually not in reference to the volcano, it's in reference to a Maori chief and his tribe
who attacked the tribe who live on Rangitoto and killed them all. So that's where the name comes from. But all these volcanoes, none of them are extinct, they're all just dormant. So the rest of them are sort of erupted 5,000 to 50,000 years ago. And there is a chance of them coming back to life at some point. There was an article in the New Zealand Herald, the New Zealand newspaper, about a month ago saying that there's a 10% chance of one of them blowing its top in the next 50 years. And if that happens, then most of the population of Auckland will have to be evacuated, so it's about 2 million people. So hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon. But I'll save the rest of my stories about volcanoes and things until we've picked up this last person, and then I'll give you a bit of a story about other volcanoes and association with Lord of the Rings, etc. Called Tip Top Corner. So you'll see directly in front of us a building with a neon sign on it called Tip Top. Red sign there. So Tip Top is a New Zealand ice cream company. Started by a couple of Italian guys down in Wellington over 100 years ago, and they developed an ice cream flavour that's very iconic to New Zealand, only made in New Zealand, called Hokey Pokey, which is like little bits of honeycomb toffee mixed with vanilla ice cream. So we do stop at a little ice cream shop on the way back from the caves, where you can check it out for yourselves if you want to. But I did have some guests a few months ago who'd heard of Tip Top and Hokey Pokey, but when I mentioned Tip Top Corner, the lady said, "Oh, is that the company that does the hanky panky ice cream?" Got the wires completely crossed. Had to tell the hanky panky came after the ice cream. Ice cream's very nice and creamy. There's another flavour, boysenberry, which is even better, I reckon. But Hokey Pokey is the one that is very Kiwi. A large majority of Auckland's Polynesian community live. So Auckland's actually got the largest Polynesian community in the world. So obviously the local Maori, but also lots of Samoans, Tongans, Cook Islanders, etc. So that big church you see up on the hill there, it's actually a Mormon temple. So about 80% of the congregation of a Mormon temple is Polynesian. Yeah, we drive past the stuff to that big sort of churchy building up there. So it opened about 4 months ago. With sort of reddy purple lights on it. That's actually the South Pacific Cultural Centre. So all sorts of Pacifica events get held there, and it's actually designed like a meeting house you would find in Samoa. So very big Samoan community in Auckland as well. And the reason for that is that during World War I, Samoa used to be a German colony, and after World War I it got taken off the Germans and split into two, and Western Samoa was handed over to New Zealand to administer, and Eastern Samoa to the United States, which is now American Samoa. And so consequently we've got lots of Samoans coming to New Zealand, particularly in the 60s and 70s to work here, and a lot of those people decided to stay and bring their families up here in New Zealand. So I think we've got a larger Samoan community in Auckland than there is in Samoa now. My story about volcanoes. So if you travel about 300 kilometres south on this highway, you come to an area called the Volcanic Plateau.
So right in the middle of a North Island, and very big geothermal area. So you've got a couple of towns there you may have heard of, Rotorua and Taupo. So lots of steam coming out of the ground, bubbling mud, geysers and volcanoes. And next to Taupo is a very large lake which is about 50 kilometres across, and that lake is actually the crater of one of the world's supervolcanoes. So there's only about 6 volcanoes in the world that are designated as supervolcanoes. Reason being that when they erupt they cause disruption to the weather patterns on the whole planet and can even induce mini ice ages because the volcanic ash blocks the sun from coming through. And they surmise that if the Taupo caldera erupted at the same level as it did thousands of years ago, that most of the North Island of New Zealand would become uninhabitable because the volcanic ash would smother everything and nothing would grow for a very long time. So let's hope that doesn't happen either. And then next to that, bringing the Lord of the Rings into play a bit, you've got a very large national park called Tongariro National Park, and within that park are 3 more volcanoes. 2 of them are active volcanoes. So the largest being Mount Ruapehu, which is about 10,000 feet, snow covered in the winter. It's an active volcano. It has 2 ski fields, commercial ski fields on it. They do have all sorts of warning systems for the skiers just in case it starts misbehaving while they're up there skiing. And then next to that you've got Mount Tongariro, which the National Park's named after. There's a very well-known hike you can do there called the Tongariro Crossing, where you walk across those mountains. And then next to that you've got the most classic looking volcano of the 3, Mount Narahoe. And Mount Narahoe is the mountain that Peter Jackson used as Mount Doom in the Lord of the Rings movies. And the National Park played the part of Mordor in the movies. And if you care to, you can actually go onto YouTube and watch a whole lot of crazed Lord of the Rings fans actually climbing Mount Narahoe, pretending they're Gollum or Frodo or Bilbo, and disposing of rings when they get to the top. And there have been even more obsessed fans who have wanted to emulate the walk that the Hobbits do in the final movie Return of the King, where they head to Mount Doom to destroy the Ring of Power. So these over-obsessed fans have gone to Hobbiton, where there's a souvenir shop where you can buy replicas of the ring, and then they've actually dressed up as hobbits and walked the 200 kilometres from the Shire at Hobbiton to Mount Narahoe or Mount Doom to satisfy their fandom. So they're completely mad, but done it nevertheless. And there is actually a story of a rich American woman who was obsessed with Mount Doom as well. She flew out to New Zealand in her private jet, landed at Auckland Airport, and then immediately hired a helicopter to take her to Mount Doom. And then once the helicopter was hovering over the crater, she opened the window, took off her wedding ring and threw in her wedding ring. So I think that's an urban myth. But yeah, so lots of volcanoes, and been very handy for Peter Jackson in making his movies. And other kind of volcanoes of note that we've got. So on the west coast of New Zealand, opposite the volcanic plateau, near a city called New Plymouth, there's another very classic looking volcano called Mount Taranaki. And if any of you have seen the Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai, that was made in New Zealand 20 years ago, and Mount Taranaki stood in for Mount Fujiyama in Japan when they made that movie. So they look almost exactly the same, snow covered in the winter, etc. And then the more notorious volcano we've got is a standalone volcanic island about 30 kilometres off the east coast of New Zealand. And about 6 years ago, a cruise ship that called into New Zealand, into a port of Tauranga on the east coast, about 3 different groups of tourists, groups of about 20 each, went out on tours of White Island, and tragically whilst they were on the island it unexpectedly erupted and 22 people were killed,
and 25 got severely burnt with gas and steam coming out of vents at over 350 degrees centigrade. And yeah, terrible event. But there is a fantastic documentary that you can watch on Netflix called The Volcano, which is produced by the American film director Ron Howard, which tells a story of a whole tragic tale of what happened at White Island. It's more a story about the survivors and how they got rescued and how they survived the tragic and horrible burns they received on their bodies. So it's actually quite inspirational as to how courageous those people were. So that's The Volcano, which you can see on Netflix if you're keen. But the reason we've got all these volcanoes is because we're part of the Ring of Fire, which encircles the Pacific Rim. So we're all the tectonic plates bang up against each other. And so all those areas will tend to have volcanoes or earthquakes, and New Zealand's lucky enough to get both. So another name for New Zealand is the Shaky Isles because of the number of earthquakes we get. So believe it or not, but we get about 20,000 earthquakes a year. So 99.9% of those you can't feel. But every now and again we do get a reasonably good shake. There have been some fairly big earthquakes over the years, but you can feel reasonably comfortable going into most buildings here. We have very strict building codes. So there was a huge earthquake in a place called Christchurch in the South Island about 14 years ago with over 200 fatalities. And after that, our building codes were always reasonably strict, but after that they got upgraded substantially. So all buildings now have to be built so they're earthquake resilient and can withstand up to 9 on the Richter scale. And older buildings have to be strengthened up to that level as well. So there's no need to worry about earthquakes. But if you travel all the way down to the bottom of the North Island, you come to Wellington, which is my hometown, and it's the capital city of New Zealand, where our centre of government is. Wellington sits right on top of where the Great Pacific Plate and the Great Australian Plate bang up against each other. And Wellington is the home to Peter Jackson, who made the Lord of the Rings movies. So he's a born and bred Wellingtonian and has established incredible movie making infrastructure down in Wellington. So his studios are called the Weta Studios. They're named after a native New Zealand insect called a weta, which is spelled W-E-T-A. So it's a very creepy, crawly looking thing, and but completely harmless. And so there's an area of the studios called the Weta Cave. And the reason he calls it the Weta Cave is because that's where wetas live. So you might see some wetas in the glowworm caves if you're lucky. But I think the giant wetas grow to about 6 inches long. So they're big, creepy, crawly things. But anyway, the Weta Cave is open to the public, and you can go there and see how Jackson and his team made orc armour and elven swords. Jackson's very pedantic about making sure everything looked very realistic. So the main actors actually wore real armour and carried real swords for authenticity. And you can also see how they've done a lot of the special effects, and also how they've got involved doing the special effects on a lot of other major film productions. So the Narnia movies, King Kong, a lot of the Marvel movies, the Avatar movies. So they've always got quite a few projects on the go down there besides the things, the Lord of the Rings projects they work on. So a pretty interesting place to visit. But Wellington's always been pretty much the centre of New Zealand movie making. So not only has Peter Jackson come from there, but Jane Campion, who directed movies like The Piano and The Power of a Dog, which he won an Academy Award for as Best Director a couple of years ago. Taika Waititi, who's directed a couple of the Thor movies and a lot of New Zealand productions of his own, 2 TV shows, and Lee Tamahori, who directed a great New Zealand movie called Once Were Warriors about urbanised Maori, and then went on to direct a number of big Hollywood movies. And actors like Russell Crowe, Sam Neill, originally hailed from Wellington as well. And, yeah, so it's pretty much been the centre of New Zealand movie making, but there's studios up in Auckland now, so the prequel to The Lord of the Rings was The Rings of Power, the Amazon series, that was made up in Auckland. And then another big series that wrapped last year that you Hawaiians may be interested in is called The Chiefs of War. It hasn't been released yet, but it's about the Hawaiian chiefs all fighting for control of the Hawaiian Islands in pre-colonial days, starring Jason Momoa. And so I think that comes out later this year sometime. That was all filmed in Auckland. And that new Minecraft movie, that was filmed up in Auckland, so quite a lot of Netflix series get made up there. But Wellington is also known as Windy Wellington, so it's actually the windiest city in the world. So New Zealand's made up of two major islands, and the gap between those two islands creates this sort of vortex effect when you get weather depressions coming up from the south or down from the north, and consequently they get about 150 days of the year where it gusts up to 50 kilometres an hour, and about 50 of those days it gusts well over 100 kilometres an hour, and they have had gusts up to 280 kilometres an hour, which is full-on hurricane force, so it can get pretty windy there. But they've got a little catchphrase down there saying that you can't beat Wellington on a good day, so when it's not blowing and there's no clouds in the sky, it's got a very beautiful harbour, so a very narrow entrance into the harbour, and it's completely surrounded by hills and mountains. Most of the city's on the flat, but all the suburbs are built in the hills and mountains surrounding it, so very picturesque on a good day. It's one of New Zealand's most popular summer holiday destinations, and the peninsula juts out into South Pacific, and on the east coast of Coromandel we've got a whole series of beautiful golden sandy beaches running down the coast for about 200 kilometres, so some great surf beaches, and great for swimming. You'll see quite a few of the guides and things at Waitomo have quite a lot of tattoos, and it's all to do with their family and where they come from. See a bit of low-lying fog here, so at this time of the year, being winter, sometimes you can come down here and there's really thick fog. You can only see about 50 feet in front of you, because it's close to the river and the quick changes in temperature. Carvings is that they're wishing people from all directions safe travel on the highway. So it's quite a nice idea. Just up here on the left. You actually see them a little bit better on our way home, but it is down the river. They transported his body up in traditional Maori canoes, which are called wakas, all the way up the river, and then he got buried on Mount Taupiri there. So this is our little stop here at Robert Harris. We've got restrooms on the right hand side there, and grab a coffee if you want, and we'll stop for about 15 minutes or so.
Alright, we just made our first pit stop. Not sure where we are, but this is where we are.
Robert Harris.
Yeah, oh, this far up. There you go. All the way down here. There's McDonald's and Taco Bell over there. So, and just go use the bathroom, and then about 15-minute break, and then come back. Alright. Okay, so we're outside, a nice sunrise behind us, and McDonald's. Second, beautiful, beautiful sunrise. Happy honeymoon. Okay, we're just walking, going exploring a little bit before our tour bus leaves, and let's check out this farm. Now turn you guys around. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is. Turn around. Look at this. This is where we are. Oh, too high.
Over New Zealand looking for the various sites that he needed, and for the Shire, which is where the hobbits live, which is where we're heading to, he wanted something that kind of loosely emulated English countryside, so gentle rolling hills, very green, few trees, a little lake, etc. And the location scout was flying out over this area in a helicopter and spotted the farm we're heading to. They liked the look of it, so they just landed the helicopter on the farm property and went and knocked on the front door of the closest house they could see. And it so happened that the farming family, the Alexanders, were watching a rugby game.
So rugby is our national sport here in New Zealand, and they're fervent rugby fans in this part of the country. And it just happened to be half time when they knocked on the door. The Alexanders are adamant they wouldn't have answered the door if it hadn't been half time. But anyway, they invited the pilot and the scout and offered them a beer and said they'd have to sit down and watch the rest of the rugby before they could show them the farm. So they duly did that, watched the rugby, and eventually got to have a look over the farm. Liked the look of it, and so when they got back to Wellington, they organised for Jackson and the set designer and set builder to fly up here and meet the Alexanders. Jackson loved what he saw, could see the potential in it. So they did a deal with the Alexanders that they'd build the set on the farm, make the movie, and then once the movie was complete, they'd dismantle the set and return the farm back to the same condition it was in. And at that stage it was actually only going to be one movie to cover all 3 books, but it did eventually change into 3 movies, one for each book. And so they did the first movie, and they did actually start dismantling the set, but by then it had changed into 3 movies, and they got pulled away to work on the other 2 movies. So all 3 Lord of the Rings movies were made in conjunction and then just released year after year. So by the time they returned to Hobbiton, the first movie had been released, been hugely successful of course, and by then there was talk of a Hobbit movies being made, and that they would need the set again for the Hobbit movies. So one of the farmer's sons suggested they turn it into a permanent installation, and then once the Hobbit movies were done, they turned it into a tourist destination. Because whilst making the first movie, they had so much interest, lots of train spotters coming out here on a regular basis, trying to see what was going on, trying to get parts in the movie, trying to make sure Jackson was staying true to the Lord of the Rings story. And so that idea was discussed with Jackson, the Tolkien family, the movie producers, and they finally reached a deal. And so Hobbiton as a tourist venture has now been running for something like 16, 17 years. Peter Jackson and his partner Fran Walsh, through the and the movie producers, etc., they own 50% of it. The Alexanders own the other 50%, and they own the farm that the movie set's on. So the actual movie set is right in the middle of a working farm. So the Alexanders have been farming out here for 4 generations, and I've got a large sheep farm with about 15,000 head of sheep and several hundred head of cattle. So to access the movie set, you have to go through farm gates and over cattle stocks, and yes, past all the stock. So it's a bit of a New Zealand farm experience as well as being a movie experience. So just the way the tour works, when we arrive at Hobbiton, we arrive at an area called the Shire's Rest. So they've got a large cafe there, restrooms, and a souvenir shop selling all sorts of Lord of the Rings paraphernalia. And we will be there for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then at 9:20, you're going to get on a Hobbiton bus that takes you onto the farm into the film set. So that's about a 5 to 7 minute ride in the Hobbiton bus, and each Hobbiton bus has a video screen in it, and you'll get an introduction from Peter Jackson and also from one of the Alexander family, and they show snippets of the first movie and also loud rousing Lord of the Rings music to get you all in the right frame of mind. And then you'll arrive at the set, and then you get out of the bus, and then it's about a 2-hour walk through the movie set. And you'll have a Hobbiton guide with you, and that guide will be able to explain how the set was built and who was involved in building it. They'll pinpoint out all the various Hobbit holes, and you know, which Hobbit hole belongs to which Hobbit, etc. And also where various scenes in the movie were shot. And there's a relatively new addition to Hobbiton called Bagshot End, where they've built 2 complete Hobbit homes into the hillside. So complete interiors, bedrooms, lounges, kitchens, bathrooms, storerooms, etc. And so all the interior shots that you actually see in the movie they were actually filmed on sound stages in Wellington, and Hobbiton was actually only used for exterior shots. So they were here for 9 months building the set, doing the filming, and it only resulted in 7 minutes of build time. So fortunate to have very big budgets on these movies. And so Bagshot End is built to 83% of scale. So you do feel as though you're going into a hobbit's house. So you'll be in Bagshot End for about 20 minutes or so, and incredible attention to detail. They got the original set builders and set designers to be in charge of the build project, and yeah, so lots of opportunities for photographs. Yeah, it's pretty cool in Bagshot End. And then you'll come back out onto the exterior of the set again, and there's a number of other interesting things that they'll show you there, in particular a big artificial oak tree that's got silk leaves on it. So when it came down to filming, Jackson wasn't happy with the colour of the leaves, and so he made them take all the silk leaves off, repaint them, and put them back on. 250,000 of them. So, as I said, he's a stickler for detail. And then you'll slowly work your way through the set and then down to the Green Dragon pub. And at the Green Dragon they offer you complimentary drinks. So you can get an amber ale, a stout, and apple cider, or a non-alcoholic ginger beer. And you'll be down at the Green Dragon for about 20-25 minutes, and then when your time's up you will come back up to the yellow bus and jump in it, and we'll head to Waitomo. So that's pretty much how the tour works. You've got a reasonably good day. I think the rain's going to stay away. However, if by chance it comes back, there are umbrellas scattered all through the movie set, so you won't get wet, but I think it's going to be stay fine. And just to give you a little bit of a background on Peter Jackson, how he became such a successful filmmaker. He was always a big movie buff as a child, and his favourite movie was the 1930s version of King Kong. And then his first working job as an adult was as a typesetter on a newspaper in Wellington, and him and a couple of his friends would make movies in the weekends when they weren't doing their day jobs. So they're all completely self-taught, and they started off doing a trilogy of horror comedy zombie movies, which were all very New Zealand centric. And the first one was called Bad Taste, which was about aliens coming to New Zealand to see if they could manufacture New Zealanders into hamburgers for their fast food joints on their own planets. And then the next one was called Meet the Feebles, which was about zombie sheep attacking people and turning them into zombies. So that one was particularly bloody and gory, with lots of sheep being blown to smithereens. And so they got very good at their special effects skills on that one. And then the final one in the trilogy was called Brain Dead, about zombies living in the suburb of Wellington. And a lot of people consider them Jackson's most creative endeavours, in that they did absolutely everything themselves. Wrote the stories, directed them, acted in them, did all the special effects, etc. So Jackson teamed up with a guy called Richard Taylor, who became the special effects guru. Jamie Selkirk, who was in charge of all the production side of things, and Jackson would write the scripts and direct the movies. And those three went on to form a company called Wingnut Films, which made the Lord of the Rings movies. But after that trilogy of horror comedy zombie movies, Jackson's partner read a story about two young women in the 1950s who, when they were teenagers at high school, they created a bit of a fantasy world between themselves, and one of the mothers got a bit concerned about their relationship and kept separating them, so they ended up murdering her. So it's a true story, and they went to prison and got released in the 1960s, but it inspired Jackson and Walsh to write a script and direct a movie called Heavenly Creatures, and Heavenly Creatures went on to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. It also happened to be Kate Winslet's first major role, And so that brought Jackson to the attention of Hollywood, and he got offered a Hollywood movie, again a horror comedy called The Frighteners, which was made in Wellington in the late 90s, starring Michael J. Fox. And whilst making that movie, Jackson picked up the movie rights for Lord of the Rings, which had been held by the Australian-American actor Mel Gibson. And Gibson didn't think they had the technical ability to bring that sort of fantasy to life on the screen, but Jackson was fairly confident he could. And so he got the initial funding for Lord of the Rings from a company called Miramax, which was then headed by the infamous Harvey Weinstein. And the deal there was that it was actually only going to be one movie to cover all 3 books. But once Jackson and the other scriptwriters got down to writing the script, they didn't think they could do justice to the Tolkien trilogy by it being one movie. So went back to Weinstein to suggest they do one movie for each book. For some reason Weinstein didn't want to do that, he just wanted one big elaborate movie. So their discussions broke down into arguments and then into serious arguments, accumulating in a huge argument in Weinstein's office in Los Angeles, with him storming up and down with the baseball bat, telling Jackson and Walsh to do as they were told or they'd never work in Hollywood again, etc. So Jackson didn't take kindly to being treated like that, so told Weinstein to take a hike and went out looking for other backers, and eventually found a company called New Line Cinema, which was owned by Warner Brothers, and they agreed to do all 3 movies. And the rest is cinematic film history, and that those 3 movies between them won 17 Academy Awards, which was unheard of, and made a bundle load of money, well over $1 billion each. And then Jackson went on to do a remake of his favourite movie, King Kong, which was made in Wellington in the early 2000s, a murder story called The Lovely Bones, which Stanley Tucci won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Made the Hobbit movies, co-directed the Tintin movie with Steven Spielberg, and of late primarily been doing documentaries. So a documentary on World War One, where they got World War One black and white footage and colorized it, and a documentary series on the Beatles. And about 6 months ago, Jackson announced they're making 2 more Lord of the Rings movies, some of it based on unpublished works of Tolkien. So the first movie is going to be called The Hunt for Gollum, and it's actually going to be directed by the actor who played the part of Gollum in the original movies, Andy Serkis. And so that's currently in pre-production down in Wellington. A whole lot of deer up there, just to the right. See those on the way back through. And yeah, so that's due to be released late 2026 apparently. And there's more deer. So all this movie making business has been very good for New Zealand, provided thousands of jobs for all the various creative talents that are needed for making movies, and also encouraged lots of other movie makers to come here. So I mentioned Tom Cruise making The Last Samurai, but he also made one of the Mission Impossible movies down in Queenstown, and James Cameron of Terminator, Titanic, Avatar fame. He's actually been living in New Zealand on and off for the last 11 years, and is actually becoming a New Zealand citizen this year.
Wow.
And Avatar 2 was made down in Wellington. He's established his own studios down there, and he uses Peter Jackson's company for the special effects. And Avatar 3 has just wrapped, and that's due to be released in near the end of the year apparently. And apparently there's an Avatar 4 and Avatar 5 too. But anyway, Cameron said he's going to be doing all the rest of his movies here in New Zealand. So it's been particularly good, Jackson's success for the New Zealand movie industry. And it's been pretty good for the Alexander family too. So we'll be at Hobbiton in a couple of minutes. So you do need tickets to get onto the Hobbiton bus, so I'll go and get those for you, and I'll just find you in the cafe or the souvenir shop and bring them to you. And there's more deer over there, so hidden away from the public gaze. So even when Jackson was doing the filming in here, he managed to convince the authorities to make it a
no-fly zone around here, so people couldn't fly planes or helicopters anywhere near the set, so they couldn't snoop on what he was up to. He's very good at twisting people's arms, old Peter Jackson. So this is the Shire's rest as this green Hobbiton buses that takes you onto the movie set. Yeah, no problem. Yep. So when we get out of the bus, I'll just get you to follow me down and I'll show you where everything is, and then I'll go and get the tickets. Got the cafe up there and the souvenir shop. Go into the cafe and there's a door on the right, go down into the souvenir shop. It's got toilets just over here and over there. So make yourselves at home. We're here for about 25 minutes. So when it's time to get on the bus, we meet under this tour departure area. So I'll see you shortly with tickets, and yeah, have a good look around.
All right, thank you. To the souvenir shop. Access to shopping cafe.
You're not paying me for that, are you? Surely just a warning. I've never even had a crash involving 300 parties. An expedient vehicle collided with an SUV at an intersection. 2 victims, state one. Lost the top. We've seen it. Slowly.
I didn't start from here.
You know, right at the road back on the floor. Yes, but I had to move all the boxes, and then I was sort of like this, straddling them, trying to pull this out. I would have given up if I was taking the boxes. I was just stood like this for like a minute, just like, why? I could just run out and be like, people behind me, and I'm like, won't because obviously we've taken that over and got but I think she's going to look at getting some suggestions and come up with ones that we could just like keep over or have by the door that we can take to just specifically for community. Or cute with a trolley. But she said so.
All hear me on the bus?
Yes.
All three of you, perfect. Well, I have another question. Is everyone excited to see Hobbiton today?
Yes!
Now, that's what I'd like to hear. Now, I'd like to introduce the team today. On my right is our driver, PJ. Can we say hi, PJ?
Hi, PJ.
Perfect. And my name is Sol. I will be your tour guide there and back again. And if you could all keep an eye on that screen above, I'm going to play a fantastic video from Sir Peter Jackson introducing the Alexander Farm, and I'm hoping the music sounds familiar.
I want to welcome you on your journey to Hobbiton. I'm very, very pleased that you're able to take the time to go visit our set. It's great when you're making a movie, everything's so temporary. The film survives, but the sets and the costumes and the props that you make, they all just get thrown away. And so I'm delighted that Hobbiton has managed to survive, and I'm really pleased that you're taking the time to visit it, and I hope that you enjoy yourself. It's been years ago that we were flying around in a helicopter and found the Alexander Farm from the air, and it, for some reason from the air it looked right, and when we landed it was absolutely perfect, as I'm sure you'll see for yourselves. So thank you very much to the Alexander family for their brilliant support over the years, and especially to Russell, who has been the greatest business partner to have, and as you'll see yourself, doing a fantastic job, making you very welcome. So thank you and enjoy yourselves.
From the entire Alexander family and everyone here on set, we're thrilled to have you. The tour starts with a journey through our 1,250-acre working sheep and beef farm. It's these rolling green hills that attracted the location scouts way back in 1998. After the completion of filming The Lord of the Rings in 2000, the set was torn down and Hobbiton was left as little more than a sheep paddock. So when Peter and his team returned for The Hobbit, we seized the opportunity to partner up and rebuild the set permanently, and it's been growing ever since. It's been an incredible journey, one we're proud to share with you today. Enjoy.
Alrighty folks, so welcome to the Alexander Farm. Now this is a 1,250-acre working sheep and beef farm. We have around 300 Angus cattle and about 8,000 Romney sheep. But I'd like to tell you the story of how this farm became Hobbiton. So if you could think back to the spring of 1998, we have one of Peter Jackson's location scouts, David Comer, flying across New Zealand in a helicopter, looking for somewhere to make Hobbiton. Now there was three things he was looking for. That was a large tree, a lake, and a rolling hill. And he spots those down here on the farm and decides he has to come and take a look in person. So the next weekend he comes and knocks on the Alexander's door. But unfortunately, well, there's a rugby game going on at the time. But we were very lucky, because it was half time. So Ian Alexander comes to the door and says that's absolutely fine, you can take a look around our farm, as long as you shut all the gates and don't mix up the sheep. Now after coming down, Lady Scout takes a lot of pictures, sends them over to Sir Peter Jackson himself, and the team of what they see so much that talks begin the next day to make this Hobbiton. But speaking of the movie set, can everyone look to your right, because you can see it for the first time. There's the oak barrel, thatched mill house, double arch stone bridge, and finally the Green Dragon Inn, where your first drinks today are on me, guys. Woohoo! Now as we're going up the hill, if you all look to your right hand side again, you get an even better view of the Green Dragon, but don't worry, we'll see it much closer later in the tour. Alright, and as we're coming over the top of the hill, on the right hand side you can see some hedges, and and in between them you will glimpse a gravel car park. Now that was very important because in The Lord of the Rings it was the technical car park where they kept the camera, lighting and sound equipment. Nowadays it's called Dusty Haven, and it's where we keep all of our set dressers, landscapers, gardeners, carpenters, joiners and painters. Everyone who builds and makes.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Perfect, everyone. We've now arrived at Hobbiton and we will depart the bus. So
Yeah.
in that scene is Gandalf and Frodo coming through between the two stone walls there on a horse and cart. They go rolling down that path up the hill behind, and they go to Bag End with the big resort across. But there's another very famous scene that takes place here. This one involving Bilbo. It begins at Bag End where he's just signed a contract to become a burglar for the dwarves. But he's late. So he runs across the hillside, down through the vegetable patch behind us, and he runs off between the two stone walls there, waving his contract in the air. Now as he does so, he says a very famous line. It's 5 words. Does anyone here know what he says as he waves his contract?
I'm going on an adventure.
Am I the only one who's seen the movies? Apparently.
It's
very good. I'll say it louder for everyone. He says, I'm going on an adventure! And then he runs that way to go and meet the door.
I sent that picture to my kids as soon as I got
As
here.
soon as you got here. Well, do you want to send them something better? Would you like to recreate the scene of him running through? Yeah? Right, pass me your phone, I'll film you doing it.
I'm gonna get a picture of it too. Sorry, I gotta.
We do it your brochure to wave like a contract. Right.
Not one of us.
Alright, on 3, are you ready? Ready.
Woo! Well done.
Someone hire her.
There to do that. Just because I actually had a lady coming to Hobbiton and it was her 12th time coming, and she actually had her own handmade Hobbit costume and a hand-sewn contract as well. We filmed doing all the scenes as she came through, everyone. So if you want us to film you doing things later, that's all I'm here for, guys, okay? But anyway, we're going to head through into the vegetable patch just behind us there to see a few more Hobbit holes. So follow me this way, everyone.
Thank you. Come to the farm.
Just muddy boots.
got that question. My record is I got that question 3 times on one tour. And there's only 12 people on the tour. And they actually, 3 separate occasions are the hobbits actually real. Just in case anyone's wondering, hobbits are not actually real. I get that question a lot. Perfect, folks. Okay, we got some silver beet at the front there by the pumpkin, spring onions too. And on this side over here, that big spiky plant is an artichoke. And next to it are some tall plants with those big leaves. Does anyone know what those plants are? No? I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's called tobacco, everyone.
Oh.
Tobacco plants right there. Of course, we know hobbits grow the best pipe weed in the whole of the Shire here in Hobbiton. And well, it's grown just over there, everyone. So there we go. But we're going to see some more hobbit holes, so keep following me, team. We're going to head this way.
Sorry, I didn't realize
Oh, it's okay.
Now, you've actually got 44 hobbit holes here at Hobbiton. You're going to see a lot of them today. 44 is quite a lot. And did anyone notice that the green door at the bottom there was actually open? Did anyone notice that? The door was actually open? Yeah, the one just over there. Every single door opens of the 44. So in case anyone's wondering, are they like just facades? Are they like, you know, just stuck or glued or anything? They are all real doors. Every single one opens, okay? So they've got like a little room behind the door that they can put actors in when they were filming and open the doors like real hobbits. But nowadays we just put things like gardening hoses and first aid kits in them.
Nice.
So anyway, folks, we're going to keep going up the path.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to point out, everyone, that most hobbit holes are actually decorated with specific jobs and themes in mind. So looking at this hobbit hole, can anyone guess what the hobbit's job is? Any guesses? A few indicators everywhere. How about you look at the letterbox for me, everyone? What's painted on the letterbox here? Fish. And you see what's hanging above the door there? Some fishing rods.
Oh, yeah.
Fishing eels in the smoker, the catch of the day drawn on the notice board. This is our fisherman, everyone, okay?
Fisherman.
So those are the things to look for when you come and view the hobbit holes. Like I said, they are decorated with specific jobs in mind to see what you can spot as you view them all today, okay? But keep following me, we'll keep going up.
Oh, there's the fish. It's okay. It's so small. Careful, man.
All the way around the top of the path, I'll meet you on the other side. 7 hobbit holes to see, just wander around the path and I'll meet you on the other side, okay? Make your way that way, cool.
Let's take a picture of this. Bilbo's door.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's in the wrong group.
Should we point to it? Should we play a game? Are you all ready? 2, 3, where do you think it was? Fingers everywhere. Okay, I see a few fingers up the hillside, some fingers at the party tree over there. All right, maybe. Well, let me tell you, now if you were pointing at the tree that is directly behind me, all the way over there, you'd be completely wrong. That's ridiculous. Over there. Now, do you see the small oak tree above the green door of Bag End? Sat between two chimneys on the left side of the hill. That tree is not real. It's completely artificial and made from steel, fiberglass, silicone, and expanding foam. And you see there's a few leaves on the tree. Well, they actually had 376,000 hand-painted silk leaves imported from Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
It was quite a big job making that tree, but there was a bit of a problem. Now, if we could just squeeze in a bit closer to you, a bit closer. I want those at the back to be able to come down into this area. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Which tree was it?
On the top of the hill on the left, above the green door Bag End.
Oh, that.
The very left tree on the top of the hill. Small oak tree, there you go. So like I said, there was a bit of a problem when making it. Now it was constructed and placed up there 8 months before they were to film the Hobbit movies. But that means it was there for 8 months, being hit by the sun and the rain and all of our New Zealand weather. So when Peter Jackson and the team came down to the set and saw it in person for the first time, they noticed that all of the silk leaves had changed colour. They'd been bleached by the sun. So to fix this, they got the arts team, hoisted them in a crane, put them in the top of the tree, and then they had to repaint every single leaf again by hand.
Wow.
And let me tell you, they had exactly 10 days until filming started to do this. 10 days to repaint every single leaf up there. Now, obviously we don't have the original silk leaves anymore. They kept changing colour. But they have actually put plastic leaves up there instead. The plastic leaves don't change colour, which I think is pretty handy, I have to say. But anyway, we're heading to our next area. We'll head around that hill behind me to the very top, where we are going to see the artist open the door, and then we can take a look inside a hobbit hole. Spoilers, there's nothing in there to see. It is just an empty wooden room. But come to me with your friends and family, and I'll be able to take pictures of you stood inside the door. It's a great opportunity for some group photos. So if that sounds good, follow me up the hill, everyone.
So far, okay.
Where? Oh, yeah.
This is the wood burn.
Pub in the movie.
Hello everyone, hello my tour group. Welcome to Bag End, guys. Now, does anyone know who lives in this hobbit hole? Bilbo, of course, Bilbo Baggins. He's quite famous. Who moves in after Bilbo? Frodo, yes, of course. It's not a trick question. You know the answer to that. Yeah, absolutely. It's Bilbo and then Frodo. And after Frodo, Sam moves in.
Wow.
Samwise Gamgee moves into Bag End with his 13 children.
Oh.
He has 13 kids, guys. That's quite a lot. I'd say too many, really. Wouldn't you agree? But anyway, whilst we're here, look at that tree. Do you remember I said it's not real? Now, what do you think from here? Does it look a bit more real or a bit less real? Less. What do you guys think? A bit more real? Less? I think it's pretty good, all things considered, you know, considering it's been there for 15 years. Now, the best way to tell it's not real, look at those leaves. You might notice they don't move. Yeah, they stay fixed. That's because they are plastic and attached with metal. They do just stay fixed all year round, okay? But anyway, let's look down at Bag End. This is our largest hobbit hole, and it goes 180 degrees around the corner there. Now, I like to point out there are two ways that hobbits show off how wealthy they are. The first, how high up the hill the hobbit hole is. Do you see any higher hobbit holes anywhere?
No.
No. That means they got a load of money. They're quite rich. The second way we know they're rich is the number of windows. The more windows you have, the more light gets in, the more money you had to build the hobbit hole. Bag End had 12, they go all the way around the corner. Most hobbit holes have 1, 2, or 0 windows. So look out for that as you're coming through the movie set. And everyone over here, look inside the door. Now, doesn't it look like they actually have a movie set in there? Well, they don't. They've actually only decorated the first 3 weeks. And they've done that so when they opened the door, it looked like they had a full hobbit hole in there. But actually, any scenes you see filmed inside a hobbit hole were done down in Wellington at Stone Street Studios. They only filmed the exterior scenes here. And I do want to point out one more thing. Now, has anyone noticed that the door's quite large here at Bag End? But have you noticed that some of the doors are quite small and some are quite big? Has anyone noticed that today? Yeah. Well, we actually have some hobbit holes that are 90% human scale, like Bag End, and some that are 60% human scale, same as some of the other doors you've seen today. Now, the reason for that, and it is done on purpose, and that's because in the Lord of the Rings there are lots of different sized characters. So Gandalf is meant to be a 7-foot-tall wizard, but his actor Ian McKellen, not that tall. So to make him look bigger, they put him by the small doors because it makes him look taller. But the hobbits are very small. They're meant to be anywhere from about 2 to about 4 feet or about 1.2 meters tall. So to make the actors look like tiny hobbits, like Martin Freeman playing Bilbo, they put him by the big doors. It shrinks the actors down and makes them look smaller. So that's why Bag End has such a big door. It's to make Martin Freeman look like he's a small hobbit when he's stood next to him. But please, folks, take your pictures of Bag End, and once you are done, you can go down the hill for me. There are benches at the bottom. Wait for me by those benches. We will regroup and then head off to our next area together. Perfect, everyone.
So this is Bilbo's house, Bag End. There's the bench that Bilbo and Gandalf sat on. There's the opening of Bag End. That's so cool. Oh, there it is. There it is. No Edmontons except on party business. No thank you. No other visitors. Look at that. This is the view from Bag End. Isn't that amazing?
Look at the sheep.
Yeah.
You see by the Bilbo Baggins home?
Hi, Bilbo Baggins.
Wow, he Richie rich.
Yeah. Look at that.
Don't fall, kid.
Okay.
Now, I told you it's not real, and I told you some problems when they were building it, but I have to ask, why is it not real? Why not just put a real tree there? Has anyone wondered that yet? Surely it's quite expensive to build an artificial tree. Absolutely bang on. It is the roots, everyone, okay? So by getting along this side, to build the 12 windows, they hollowed the top of the hill out. So it is fully hollowed out, and there's a full corridor going all the way around that side there to access the windows. That allowed them to open them like wheel windows and put props on the inside. And by doing this, it means there's nowhere for the roots to go if they actually had a real tree. There's just a hollow space underneath it, okay? So they knew they'd have to put an artificial tree on the hill instead. Now I will say, in the Lord of the Rings, there was a real tree up there. A real oak tree. They chopped it down from a local farm, placed it up there for the movies, but that wasn't going to work the second time around. A dead tree was not going to last the last 15 years. So they built one instead. But what's interesting is that because the Hobbit movies are set 60 years before the Lord of the Rings, it means this tree is designed to be 60 years younger than the original oak tree from the Lord of the Rings, okay? This is designed to be 60 years younger, slightly smaller, slightly less aged, a few less broken branches. Just think all these details they had to have right when they were thinking of making Hobbiton. That's why it took 2.5 years to build the movie set, and then they only filmed here for 12 days. I know, not much of a return on the construction time to filming, but I think it was pretty good. The Shire features for, I think, a whole 12 minutes in the movie. So perfect, right? But anyway, we're going to head to our next area. So
Right up there, right? Sorry.
No, they're actually rebuilding some of the Hobbit holes at the back over there. It's like the kind of tent at the top of it all. That's where they're actually rebuilt. They've removed the entire hill and they're rebuilding the whole hill and the 3 Hobbit holes that were on it just to fix them basically. They've been there for 15 years. They needed maintenance. They just thought they'd remove the whole hill and just rebuild them from scratch. And then over here, they thought they'd do a really important project as well. This one's crucial. This one's called a toilet, everyone. Right here under the hill. No, I'm not kidding, it is. That's actually what they're building. So they're building a toilet, putting a hill back on top and hiding it, keeping it hidden. But from here, our closest bathrooms are the Green Dragon or the Tall Start. So they thought they'd add one in the middle. But it just means if you need the toilet right now, you've got to run really fast. Does that make sense? Anyway, those are the back. Come on in a bit closer, everyone.
Another toilet.
Is a field. It's called the Party Field. And this is where Bilbo has his 111th or 111st birthday. And that was actually the largest scene they ever filmed here on the Alexander Farm. And it took 4 days and 3 nights of constant shooting just to film the party. And they had over 100 Hobbit extras running around in the background there. But I'd like to point out our party tree right at the back. That big tree, that was the tree they saw from the air as they were flying across to look for somewhere to build a Hobbiton. It was that specific tree that they were looking for at the time. Pretty magnificent, I have to say. It has taken a bit of damage recently, but that was the tree they were looking for. Now, the reason they need it is because it's the backdrop for Bilbo's birthday, and underneath it he stands on a stage doing his goodbye speech for the Hobbits. And at the end, pops on the ring to disappear and run off to the elves. Now, the actor playing Bilbo in the Lord of the Rings was called Ian Holm. And when he stood doing his speech into the party tree, he's not here on the Alexander Farm. He was meant to come here back in 1999, but he was filming a play in London and didn't get to New Zealand on time. So they'd finished filming here when he got to New Zealand. So in order to film his scene, they took a picture of the bottom of the party tree and rebuilt the entire bottom 4 meters in the movie studio in Wellington just for his scene. They even moved an entire section of hedges just to place them so they looked exactly the same. Which is very annoying, because the whole reason they came and built the set was for that tree, for that scene, and he wasn't here to film it. Now, when he's doing his speech there, he has a birthday cake brought out and placed next to him. And that was a big white cake, and it had 111 real candles. But it was a plastic cake.
Oh.
What do you think happens when you mix plastic and fire? Nothing good. The cake catches on fire when he's doing his goodbye speech. Now, the way that you know that is because if you actually watch the scene, you might notice that, well, Bilbo starts to glow orange in that scene. It's from the reflection of the cake on fire on Bilbo's torso. Now, they couldn't put that in the movies, they reshot it, but it's in the behind the scenes. So if anyone has the DVD, watch the behind the scenes. It is a pretty funny moment, I have to say. But like I said, Ian Holm, he never came here for the Lord of the Rings. He also never came for the Hobbit movies either 10 years later. He had a private illness and couldn't fly over from the UK. So they actually shipped the whole bag end set to London for him to film in the movie studio there instead. Clearly they wanted him in the movies, folks, okay? So he never came here for the Lord of the Rings. He never came for the Hobbit movies. And actually Ian Holm died in 2020. He was actually the only one of our Hobbit actors who never came to the Alexander Farm at any point in his life. Which is pretty sad, I have to say. But it does mean that everyone here in our fellowship today has actually spent more time in the Shire than Bilbo himself. For you guys, I have to say, right? But anyway, we're going to head off and see Bagshot Road, where Samwise Gamgee lives in a big yellow door. He's my favourite character. So follow me this way and I'll show you where he is. This way, keep
See this?
And here is actually where we have the final scene of The Lord of the Rings. In that scene, Sam comes walking up the path on my right, up towards the front door, where his daughter Eleanor comes running out, and then he gives her a big hug. Last scene in the movies, it's very cute. But what makes it slightly cuter is that while they're here for several years filming, the cast actually brings their own families along to New Zealand. Now the actor for Sam is called Sean Astin, and that little girl he hugs is actually his own 3-year-old daughter. Wow. That is his own daughter, Ali. So now you know why he has that big smile on his face. He sees his own daughter dressed up like a hobbit, run out of an actual hobbit hole, and then he gives her a big hug. Very cute, I have to say. And I told you it was the last scene in the movies. It's also the first one they shot back in 1999. Wow. So at the time, Sean Astin's daughter Ali was only 3 years old. But 4 years would pass between filming that scene and seeing it in Return of the King in 2003. So she would be 7 by the time she went to the movies and saw her big moment, hugging her dad. Wow. But I think it was worth the wait, right guys? Yeah. Still really cute. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, over here we have a red and a green door. They are actually fully built up hobbit holes and we're about to head inside them. So follow me this way. Yeah.
This is Sam's house.
Sam's house.
The green dragon.
Coming out in a few moments to say hi. Now do not worry, you're only going inside one of the 2 hobbit holes today. They are actually identical experiences. You have the same thing in each side, whether you go in green or red. We just built food so we're not too squished in them, okay? Does that sound good, everyone? Yes. Now can you all stand together with your friends and your family? When you stand with the people you want to go in a hobbit hole. If there's someone who don't want to go in a hobbit hole, we'd run away from them.
Babe.
You guys are just 7. Oh, She's 7. Awesome. So she's called Chrissy. Can you say hi, Chrissy?
Hi, Chrissy.
She's taking the red dot. She's better at her job. She knows much more what she's talking about, and she watched the movies more than anyone I know. Pretty good, I have to say. But I will say, just before we go in the Hobbit hole trick, just having to breathe health and safety. First thing, Hobbit holes are small, 83% human scale. If you're like this guy, you're very tall, watch your heads, okay? Now the sets are fully interactive, so feel free to pick up and touch all the plots you see. But if they are glued down, don't pull them, they have glued them for a reason. There are also fires in here, don't touch a fire, that's bad. There are also chairs, you can sit on the chairs, you can lie on the beds. Just if you jump on the beds, take off your shoes. We do not want muddy footprints on the ground. And finally, we do exit out the back before going to the Green Dragon. Take all your belongings inside, all your coats and bags, we exit out the back. Sound good?
Yes.
Perfect. Take it away, Chrissy.
Thank you, Sol. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Toofer family home. I wish I could say welcome to my home, but sadly, I do not live here.
We can come into it when it's fire.
Welcome, guys.
Hey, thank you. Oh, gotta bend down. Gotta duck a little bit. Excuse me. Oh, it's the bathroom. A little mirror. Cool. Oh, there's the toilet paper. Back up this way. Oh, this is where Bill. No, not yeah, where he would write. How small the chair is.
Yeah. All the details, lovely, isn't it?
Oh, it's the master bedroom. Okay.
Yeah. It's like you got it. Yeah, I kind of want like she's I don't really live in this house. Literally, I haven't bent over really once. Oh my gosh, it is just possible. Perfect.
Baby crib. Just sit down. And here's all the bath. Back to the front row.
And at any one point there was about 100 people
There's my
working on
wife.
the project. So it was a big project. And then, yeah, it opened up on the 1st of December 23. So the homes themselves didn't feature in the films because anything was shot at a studio down in Wellington. But everything has pretty much been handmade and crafted for these homes.
Oh,
so the reason Dusty Haven is called Dusty Haven, for example, is because that's where they did all their carpentry woodwork. It got very dusty, so it was given Dusty Haven.
Yeah, it's the kitchen. Oh, it smells so good in here.
So cool.
Wow. Look at that. That's so cool. It's like a spice drawer? Spice drawer?
You can. So it's reinforced so pretty much anyone can sit on it. Like we have more fun as tour guides just sitting and trying stuff around the place. It's great. So you more than can.
Well, Bilbo wrote The Hobbit.
We say the stuff for kids, but the adults have much more fun with it.
Can we see these? Can you take a picture of me after?
It does actually roll. You look so happy in that photo. I love it. Just so much excitement.
I'm a big kid.
Oh, same. Pretty much all tour guides are Hobbiton are like big nerdy kids. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
So like green, like painted ones, like the letters. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. Hobbits absolutely love mushrooms and foraging, so it's very hobbity features.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did the actors ever come back to visit? Or?
Sadly, not on one of my tours yet. I'm hoping for the day, but they do come back. We've had people come back who've been Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit trilogies. We get people who work behind the scenes, like the crew. People still come back and visit. Because the people who worked on the films as well, it's a big project close to most of their, all of their hearts. So it's an important part of their lives.
Yeah, of course.
Like when the Lord of the Rings cast, for example, the Fellowship, they all got a matching tennis.
Thank you. You're welcome.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
My
Feel
shot.
free to
Thank you.
Oh. Hope you enjoyed
Oh,
it.
that was wonderful. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Folks, so did you enjoy those hobbit holes?
Yes.
They are very cool. Now, just to let you know, these are not in the movies. They're not in any TV show. They were made 2 years ago for our tours here at Hobbiton. About 18 months to be exact. December 2023 is when they opened to the public for the first time. So I'm glad you guys came to see them. They are pretty cool. The only way to experience these is by coming to Hobbiton. But anyway, if you could all look behind yourselves, that is the Green Dragon Inn.
Wow.
We are heading there for drinks. And like I said on the bus, your first drink, that's on me. It's included in the tour. You don't have to pay when you come to the bar. But there are 4 drinks that you can choose from. We have a dark stout, an amber ale, an apple cider, and a non-alcoholic ginger beer. Now just keep in mind that the cider is a hard cider. It is alcoholic, folks, okay? Now, inside the pub, when you go up to the bar, I would like to put out a reminder that because we are in the real country of New Zealand, and that is a real pub, we have to abide by real New Zealand laws when it comes to drinking alcohol. I'm referring to IDs, folks, okay? If you come up to the bar and get asked for your ID, you need to present a passport, a New Zealand driver's license, or a Kiwi access card. If you don't have one of those when asked, you do just get the non-alcoholic ginger beer. Remember, in New Zealand, the drinking age is 18, but if you look under 25, you'll probably get asked for your ID. Just take it as a compliment, folks, okay? Now, inside the pub on the left is a table to make yourselves hot drinks like tea and coffee. We have self-service on those, so feel free to make a hot drink. And there is also a food counter if you would like to buy food. We have pies, sandwiches, scones, muffins, and some cookies. Now, we have about 35 minutes inside the pub, after which you meet on the left by the willow trees with those lanterns underneath. We'll meet in there in about 35 minutes, and then we'll head off and catch the bus. A lot of you today, I think about 29, came in the yellow Auckland Scenic vans to get here to Hobbiton. Your drivers will meet us and you'll head back in their vans. The other 10 of you will go with me onto one of our green buses, guys, okay? If you didn't come in a yellow van, then you should know that, all right? Now, one last thing. If you look at the Green Dragon, along the left is a path going around the lake. You see there's a person just stood on the lakefront on the very left by that fishing spot. You can actually leave the Green Dragon and walk all the way around the lakefront to where that person stood. It's one of our tour guides watching that area. Now, I would recommend you do that because the view that we've got all the way up here has no construction in it. And you can actually see all the way to Bag End. It's the only picture you can get at Bag End with no construction at the moment. So I would recommend you leave the Green Dragon, walk along the lakefront, and then take a picture from that angle. Our tour guide there can also take pictures for you whilst you're there. She's called Molly, everyone. Be nice to her, okay? It's her job for the whole day to stand there and take your pictures. So feel free to ask her. She can take a picture with your friends and family of all the Hobbit holes and Bag End in the background. I know that was a lot of information, but are we ready for beer?
Yes.
Well, then follow me to the pub. Right, the front. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Brett.
Ginger beer because it's beautiful.
No, it's the back of the Hobbit, I think. No, the back of the Hobbit house. Yeah. The road goes ever on and on. The prancing pony. Oh, not prancing pony. That's in Brie. I thought that said prancing pony, but it doesn't. Going to the Green Dragon Inn.
C'est le moulin, le conducteur a vu le Arch traverser l'auberge Green Dragon. À l'origine, ce qui n'est pas prévu pour le film, ils l'ont construit pour agrandir
Don't bend your knees like that. Don't bend your knees like that. Like the Disney game. I want to get filmed.
We did it. We're in the shine. Photogram.
For the memories.
For the memories. So we're walking all the way around to the river. Our tour guide said that's the best place to get a picture of a whole Bag End. So we are walking there now. It's a beautiful river. Ooh. Extend this. All right. There it is. How beautiful this place is. There it is. Get the whole Bag End. Yeah, hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm a celebrity. This is a really fantastic. He probably told you all this,
Yeah.
but this is a really, really good shot. You can kind of like make the tree block.
Oh, the construction?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. So what drinks you want?
What would a Hobbit drink more?
I will say the light beers are the most popular one. This is the light beer side.
Oh, that's wine? I'm sorry, is that beer?
It's beer.
Beer,
Light
okay.
beer, yeah.
Yeah, I have it now.
And we've got the back. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh.
Ginger beer.
My first drink in New Zealand at the Hobbiton. First ale. They serve pints. Oh, that's really good. First drink good. Woo! Hobbiton! Cheers! The blacksmith. Hammers. That's just light. Okay, that's not real close. We're coming towards the end of the tour, but I just wanted to get the last video of everything behind us. I'm going to fast forward this way. Check all this out. How beautiful is this? Megan and I just had our once ever. It was so good.
That's super good.
Super good.
I want to learn how to make it.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe.
Okay.
You dropped your tip. Thank you. So, thank you.
38, 39.
Wow.
Now, we are going to exit out the back of the Green Dragon, everybody, and as we do, you will see a table of Green Dragon steins. You can take one each, everyone. They're a gift from us to you here at Hobbiton. They are included with your tour today. It's just to thank you for your patience with all the construction that you've seen today.
Oh, wow.
So you get to take a Green Dragon stein home with you. Nice. All I say about the steins, don't put them in the microwave, okay? They have little air pockets in them that can crack and explode if you put them in the microwave.
Okay.
And also, don't put them in the dishwasher. Wash them by hand, otherwise you lose the cool factor. Sound good, everybody? Yeah, perfect. Well, follow me. Let's head out the back of the Green Dragon.
Yeah, I didn't know that was fun.
Oh, right before the rain. Oh, man.
Okay, wait, that's it.
Goodbye, Hobbiton. That was awesome.
I just didn't stop in the spot.
Goodbye, Hobbiton. Yeah. Love you, Hobbiton. Thank you. Oh, more toilets. Nice. Here you go, oh, sorry, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Nice. Yeah. Thank you. What's that?
They don't actually let you take photos in the first part of the cave, so it's not until after you pass the glowworms that they let you take photos.
We're going into the Waitomo caves.
Yeah. Watch out.
Okay.
What's happening? We're doing you together.
You guys ready to go in the cave?
Yeah.
So just before we go inside, we do have a few rules here. Unfortunately, there's no photos or videos allowed in the cave. Also no food or drink, but you can bring some water. And the shallow hand sign just means please no touching the rock inside the cave. We got some natural oils in the skin that can stain the rock black on the inside. Also, if you would like to, you can take a look over that hillside down there. Past all those trees, there's a river just down below. This river leads to the original entrance to the cave. That's how the first explorers came into the cave. Their names were Tane Tinido, he was a local Māori chief, and Fred Mace, he was an English surveyor. They built a flaxwood raft out of that forest there back in 1887, and they mapped out this cave in just under 2 years. Also, when you guys follow me inside, just make sure to be careful for your head. The ceiling is going to be a little bit low for the first 10 meters. Okay, come inside, guys.
Serious. Yeah. Yeah, but they let everybody back in again. Tip top ice cream. Holy moly, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12. It's ice cream. Hey. Oh, dear. Yeah. Huh?
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, that's it. You want to get one? Sure. Thanks.